Have you ever wondered why crime data lists some small California towns above cities many times their size? 5 small California towns post unusually high violent crime rates in OpenCrime's FBI-sourced 2024 data: farm towns and industrial cities. None of them appear ordinary once you look past the highway view. Some barely crack 15,000 residents, yet their per capita rates sit in the same range as cities with populations in the hundreds of thousands. Stick around for the last one. In OpenCrime's 2024 California ranking table, it lands among the top 5 cities for violent crime in the entire state, and it's not the kind of place you'd expect to find on a list like this at all. Red Bluff. Red Bluff sits along Interstate 5 in Tehama County, home to 14,329 people according to OpenCrime's 2024 table. It's the kind of town most drivers pass through without a second thought, a stop for gas or a quick meal on the long stretch between Sacramento and Redding. That same OpenCrime source lists Red Bluff's violent crime rate at 1,277 per 100,000 residents, well above the 2024 statewide average of 486 per 100,000 listed on the same page. That's more than double what the rest of California reports on average for the year. Using its own internal safety scoring, OpenCrime ranks Red Bluff among the lowest scoring cities in its entire database, a ranking specific to that one site's methodology, not an FBI ranking itself. It's worth being precise about that distinction because different databases can produce different rankings depending on how they weigh population size against raw incident counts. Still, the underlying number is consistent across the data OpenCrime pulls directly from FBI reporting. Red Bluff is a farming and ranching town with wide streets, a walkable downtown, and a quiet, almost sleepy feel during the day. But that's what OpenCrime's 2024 figures show sitting underneath the surface. Red Bluff runs on cattle and farmland. The next town runs on something completely different: tourists, boats, and a lake that draws crowds every summer. Oroville. Oroville in Butte County held roughly 19,270 residents as of 2024, per OpenCrime's population figures. It's a town built around Lake Oroville and the dam nearby, a place that draws boaters, campers, and summer tourists from across Northern California every year. The same OpenCrime source lists Oroville's 2024 violent crime rate at 981 per 100,000 people, also well above that year's 486 per 100,000 statewide average, nearly triple the state figure. On OpenCrime's internal safety scoring, Oroville ranks among the lowest scoring cities the site tracks nationally, a distinction that again reflects that specific database's own methodology rather than an official federal ranking. What's notable is how consistent this pattern is becoming as we move through this list. A town that draws thousands of visitors every summer for its lake and its scenery carries a violent crime rate nearly triple what the rest of the state reports on average. That's what this one crime tracking source shows for 2024, and it's a pattern that repeats almost identically in the towns still to come. A lake town and a ranch town both carrying numbers nobody advertises. The next city didn't earn its reputation from crime data first, it earned it from Hollywood. McFarland. McFarland in Kern County became known nationally for one thing: Disney's McFarland USA, based on the town's real cross-country running team. That part is well documented, and it's the reason most people outside California have ever heard of this small farming community at all. The film told a hopeful story about a group of teenagers who found purpose and discipline through long-distance running, coached by a teacher who saw something in them that nobody else did. The crime numbers behind that same town come from 2 separate secondary sources, so it's worth keeping them apart rather than blending them into one figure. Area Vibes, citing FBI uniform crime reporting figures, lists McFarland's violent crime rate at 421 per 100,000 residents, about 17% above the national average in that specific data set. That 48% figure applies only to Area Vibes numbers. Separately, Neighborhood Scout runs its own independent analysis of FBI records and estimates roughly a 1 in 239 chance of becoming a violent crime victim in McFarland in a given year. Neighborhood Scout also flags the city for one of the higher vehicle theft rates in its national comparison, a detail that shows up repeatedly across multiple crime tracking sites covering this same small community. Two different sources, two different methods, but both point in the same direction. The movie sold audiences on hope, discipline, and a group of kids who beat the odds. The crime data, pulled from a completely separate set of records, tells a quieter and less publicized chapter of that same town story. McFarland grows crops and produces underdog stories. The next city doesn't grow anything at all. It moves freight 24 hours a day. Commerce. Commerce sits just southeast of Los Angeles, a small city built heavily around freight, warehousing, and rail traffic. About 11,464 people live there, per OpenCrime's 2024 population count. OpenCrime's 2024 California ranking table lists Commerce's violent crime rate at 1,448 per 100,000 residents, placing it second in that table, right behind Oakland, a city more than 30 times its size. Against the 2024 statewide average of 486 per 100,000, the same page reports, Commerce's rate runs close to 3 times higher. By day, the streets fill with trucks moving freight in and out of the city's warehouses, forklifts working the loading docks, and a steady hum of industrial activity that defines the local economy. By night, that same industrial footprint empties out fast, leaving fewer people on the streets. The data itself doesn't explain why the numbers run this high, and it's worth being careful not to guess at a cause the data doesn't confirm. 4 towns down, 4 different economies: farming, farming again, farming with a movie deal attached, and now freight. Across each one, OpenCrime's 2024 FBI-sourced data lists populations under 20,000 posting violent crime rates several times the state average, a pattern that holds steady no matter what kind of local economy sits underneath it. Every city so far made sense on paper: cheap land, thin budgets, industries that don't pay well. The last one throws that whole theory out the window. Emeryville. Emeryville looks like money from almost any angle you approach it. Glass condo towers rise near the Bay Area waterfront, catching the afternoon light off the water. An outdoor shopping district lined with modern storefronts draws crowds from across the region every single weekend. About 12,671 people call it home, according to OpenCrime's 2024 population figures, making it one of the smallest cities in the entire Bay Area by resident count. OpenCrime's 2024 California ranking table lists Emeryville's violent crime rate at 1,231 per 100,000 residents, placing it 5th in that table, behind only Oakland, Commerce, Red Bluff, and Compton. The same source lists Emeryville's property crime rate close to 13,500 incidents per 100,000 residents, one of the highest figures recorded anywhere on that page. Here's the piece worth understanding without overstating it. Emeryville's resident population is small, but its retail district pulls in a much larger crowd of shoppers and office workers every single day, likely numbering in the tens of thousands when the mall and nearby offices are counted together. That daytime to resident gap is a commonly cited factor behind unusually high per capita crime numbers in small commercial cities generally, since the same crime total gets divided across a much smaller resident base than the number of people actually present on any given day. Still, this dataset doesn't confirm that explanation as the specific cause for Emeryville, and it's worth resisting the urge to state it as settled fact. What the 2024 figures do confirm is the number itself. A small city of under 13,000 residents ranked 5th for violent crime on OpenCrime's entire California table that year, sitting above cities with populations in the hundreds of thousands. 5 California cities, 5 different economies, and one pattern that shows up consistently in the same 2024 OpenCrime dataset. Small populations, quiet reputations, and violent crime rates running well above that year's state average in every single case. So next time your fuel light blinks on near one of these exits, maybe check the data before you check the pump.